Mike Matthews here at Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valleyton.
It's Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2839.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
2839. I'm fine here in Podcastro Valleyton, at the last place on earth in the land of Ameritopica. My friend, did you know San Jose is no longer number 10 in the largest cities in the United States? Now it's at number 13. Wah. Falling another rung down the ladder since falling out of 10th place the year before.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
That, according to the Mercury News, San Jose's population continued to decline last year. So
Mike's
the decrease
Daily
was the smallest
Podcast
of any year since 2017. A sign of possible reversal after 6 years of population losses. And that was a trend that began before the pandemic. The U.S. Census Bureau, or the UCB, I went to UCSB. That was neither here nor there, but I was on a small radio station called KCSB, our campus radio station, and Sean Hannity used to come in after me, a young Sean Hannity, his first ever radio job. And look where he is, look where I am. I'm doing a podcast, though. Well, he's doing like 8,000 podcasts with 10 billion downloads, and yeah, I'm not bitter. Hey, what I was saying was the U.S. Census Bureau estimates San Jose's population was 969,655 peoples as of July 1st last year, almost a year ago, down over 1,500 residents. Let's see, well, what could that be? It would surprise me if Silicon Valley's economy decides to surge again, said one person. I really do see us on the cusp of that.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Let's see that. And the podcast picture is not from San Jose, but from the beautiful, if you go across the mountains there towards the ocean, right there at the ocean. Half Moon Bay, Pillar Point, that whole area, the beautiful sunset there. See that picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. Oh, Russell Hancock, a CEO of Joint Venture Silicon Valley, and the late great Basil the Boxer right here. Did we ever go to San Jose, Basil and I? I don't think we did. Oh, yes! Yeah, when I was married, my then wife, her brother lived down there, and when we'd go on vacation, we would drop him off with
interesting.
We'd drop him off with the brother-in-law. That's right. So he was there. That's pretty interesting. So Russell remembers the celebrations when San Jose first appeared in the top 10 largest cities in 2005, but he doesn't.
Which is a very good thing. Which is a very, very good thing.
Is it? But he doesn't fret too much about the recent declines, because San Jose remains the largest city in Northern California, larger than San Francisco and Sacramento. While San Jose might start seeing population growth again soon, it would be hard to recreate the city's population explosion that started in the late 50s.
Mike, it's Mikey Fikey. Great.
And ended in the 10s, the 2010s, says Mikey Fikey. Early growth was largely due to smoke and mirrors. The last podcast was called Mirror. This according to Russell Hancock. He said they annexed whole cities. It gobbled them up.
It's a nightmare of a show.
It didn't do it through natural population growth. That's right. This is a nightmare of a show. Thank you for listening. Now San Jose has to rely on immigration to maintain its population and its position as a hub for technology and innovation. That's been the
Everybody make some noise!
Silicon Valley secret sauce.
Bringing to you
for generations.
Live from
Podcaster Valleyton.
Podcaster Valley Mont.
Yeah, I never.
Mike's
Daily Podcast. Thank you. That's right. Which is a good thing. Which is a very good thing. But the guy that we heard say that, his conviction has raised many political and legal questions. He is going to appeal, though, That is definitely not in question. And he might even win, according to Politico. The former president has made no secret he plans to challenge the verdict. He says Arlo Devlin Brown, a former federal prosecutor who was chief of the Public Corruption Unit in Manhattan, in the U.S. Attorney's General office there in Manhattan, says there is an appeal that could have legs.
Wow, Judge, wow.
And wow, his first chance to challenge the verdict will come within 30 days of his sentencing. That's on July 11th. At which point, he can return to New York's first Judicial Department appellate court, not far from where he stood trial. The court has such broad discretion to review jury findings that it's sometimes called the 13th juror. What? Yes.
Mike's scavenger hunt.
So what I have found in my scavenger hunt is there is nothing final when it comes to the legal. But if you got the money, honey. Their attack is expected to focus on a few key issues, which we keep hearing over and over again from conservative talk show hosts. This includes the legal theory that enabled prosecutors to transform 34 misdemeanor counts of falsifying business records into a felony case against the former president. We're going to take this as high and as far as we need to, including the U.S. Supreme Court, to vindicate President Trump's rights, his attorney said.
Ridiculous random posts.
Yes, these are ridiculous random posts. He's also likely to appeal on the grounds that an expert witness he sought to have testify, a former head of the Federal Elections Commission, was restricted by the judge from testifying about whether Trump violated campaign finance laws. You've been hearing that over and over again from Trump and other people that support him. Trump ultimately declined to call the witness, Bradley Smith, and Trump's remarks on Friday.
The Newsbleed section.
Last week suggested his appeal would concern Justice Juan Merchan's ruling regarding Smith. And he also may argue that some of the testimony the judge did allow was prejudicial, including Stormy Daniels' detailed account of what Trump and she did. And some of the testimony connected to Access Hollywood tape. Trump's lawyers might appeal on the ground that the material
might rip someone a new one.
Wasn't relevant, and the jury didn't need to hear it in order to make a conviction. As we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. I don't know if I want to rip former Speaker Kevin McCarthy on this, but he said every American should accept the results of the upcoming presidential election. I would agree with that, as some Republicans repeatedly refuse to say whether they'll accept the results, regardless of who wins.
Yo, the Mike Tip.
McCarthy also blasted Democrats for challenging, quote, every single Republican elected president since George Bush, specifically blaming Maryland Democrat Representative Jamie Raskin for saying that, quote, Trump should be impeached before he was even sworn in. This is a question that's for the whole American public. We've got to get beyond it, he said. I would agree that we should just accept the election. We've had 4 years of just this total...
The Micropedia Insanika.
It's like fantasy novelists. Like the book, the Encyclopedia Insanika. Just a fantasy novel. Like, it's all doesn't exist. Some of the theories they pull out of the air. What else got pulled out of the air was trash, as you can say here in the U.S. But it was a definite real thing in South Korea, because North Korea was sending trash-carrying balloons. And they said Sunday North Korea did that. Its campaign left the South Koreans with enough experience of how unpleasant they feel. Okay? And they're going to stop doing it.
Mike's absolutely useless review.
My review is that, I don't know what you take, but I don't think you should take anything they say for truth, for real. The North's announcement came hours after South Korea said it would soon punish North Korea with unbearable retaliatory steps over its balloon activities and other recent provocations. Observers say South Korea is going to restart their frontline loudspeaker broadcasts into North Korea that include criticism of its abysmal human rights situation. And they're going to play K-pop songs. So North Korea is extremely sensitive
Live and local
to such broadcasts because of its 26 million people have no official access to foreign TV and radio programs. Unlike here, Live and Loco, where we do have access. We have access to so much information that some of us really get bogged down in some crazy information. So we should always be aware of that. As there was a song by Duran Duran called Too Much Information. And they put that out in the 90s, just as this was all starting to happen with all the multiple TV channels and all the... Back then, before the internet, it was all magazines.
Mike's Daily Podcast Master Pod Theater.
That from the Associated Press. Now, my little play for you called Associated Press.
Hey! I'm associated with you. May I press you for possibly gochujang?
You know, we used to get our gochujang from the public market in Podcastro Valley, and sadly, it is so sad, but it burned down. The public market on Lake Chabot, I think it was called the Chabot Public Market. Last week, some kind of gas leak, and it burned down. And we were just there, my lovely lady friend and I, we were there on Memorial Day, getting some tea eggs, which she makes her own ramen, and we'll put those in there. But there was this great ramen place that had some amazing fried chicken, and now I won't be able to have that. And then there was actually my lovely lady friend and I, one of our first dates was there. And they had that awesome Mama Cho's barbecue. Oh, and there was a cool ice cream place, a poke bar, which we never tried. So it's very sad. They're gone, and they were trying, and they were in a bizarre location, surrounded by houses, but they were giving it a shot, and they had been doing really well since, let's see, my lovely lady friend and I, we've been together 6 years, so at least 6 years it was going. Ugh, it's so sad, and I don't know if it's going to be reconstructed, but just, my heart goes out to them. I took that news hard when I heard about it.
Matthew's News.
Yeah, not the best news, but all right. Now, a little bit of bizarre news. This came from Fox News. Illinois Democratic state lawmakers are aiming to change the word offender. They're offended by the word offender, and they're changing it to justice-impacted individual.
News Random.
They're doing that with a bill called 4409. It will amend the Illinois Crime Reduction Act of 2009 to change references from offenders to justice-impacted individuals. Among other changes...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The bill passed the Illinois State Senate and is currently headed to Illinois Governor J.P. Pritzker's desk. And that is crazy to see why of all the things that you need to do in this world, that's what you're going to do. It's, what am I going to do? I'm going to talk to these wonderful people here at Café Anyway. Look who's here, outside.
Hello, my master, it's Madame Rootabega, and I am so sad about the public market. Oh!
Yes. You enjoyed it?
Yes.
Did you ever try the tea eggs?
Yes.
Do you like gochujang?
No.
It's very hot. It's spicy. Korean. Speaking of Korea, it's very spicy sauce stuff. It's excellent. You can actually get it at Trader Joe's now. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley.
Mike, all of that was very fascinating information.
Yeah, information and news. You know that? Guys, I want to say thank you for listening to the podcast. We are very happy and happy to bring you this podcast. And I want to tell you that I'm working on this book that I'm releasing, and it's out now, and you can get it at the website, mikesdailypodcast.com. It's called Podcasting. Is It Real? Check it out. It's a great book. I enjoyed writing it, and I enjoyed putting it out there. And since most podcasters put out a book that nobody reads, I thought I would do the same thing. And so, just to say I'm an author and that I put out a book, and that when people have me on their shows, they can say, yeah, Mike hosts the Mike's Daily Podcast that's done over 2,839 episodes, and he has also written a book called Podcasting, It's in Your Ear. Here he is, Mike Matthews. Hey, thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you. Thanks for having me. They always say that. Thanks a lot for having me. Thank you. Well, thank you for listening to this wonderful podcast called Mike's Daily Podcast. If you'd like to call in, why, there's a phone number here. It's in the Bay Area. That's why the 510 area code. Let me know what you think.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640. Will you shut ups? Liberty Nation Freedom Phone for All.
And before we send you on your merry way, let's go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame, who's going to tell you all the other places and wonderful things to do to find out about Mike's Daily Podcast and this fascinating world of which it is thusly.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!